Hey guys, good evening. Welcome back. This is Donna Sharp with Holistic Wellbeing. Thank you so much for joining me here on day 560 of doing these lives. Before I continue, I just want to show you something for a moment. It's absolutely gorgeous. Hi Kim, welcome. Thank you for joining. I'm going to show you something that's absolutely gorgeous, like everything else behind me is just not amazing, right? But this is just so beautiful. I'm going to turn the camera around for just a moment so I can show it to you. Take a look at this. Take a look at God's beauty and just look how absolutely incredible this hibiscus plant is. Look at this. I don't know about you guys, but I just have this fascination with nature because I truly know that there is a God. Because who does this? Who tells the actual birds to fly, right? And the bees to soar and all of those wonderful things. So I wanted to share that with you. A segue for a moment. So we're gonna get back to my little studio here in my great outdoors. And I'm gonna actually get a little bit more sun. Bear with me a second. So thank you for joining. I am your holistic and wellness life coach, and part of what I do is I teach individuals how to foster a beautiful life, a beautiful life, the one life that we're granted with. I teach individuals how to do that. How do you foster a dynamic life? Live with peace and joy in your heart, and be able to bask in every single moment that there is, and not allow anything else in and around you to affect you. A lot of people really can't do that, you know. I'm looking at this papaya and it's driving me crazy. I don't know if this is the one, but we got to get rid of this dead leaf, because if we don't do that, then the plant won't flourish, right? So I'm seeing it on my camera. In any event, so a sidetracked. A sidetrack. Thank you for joining me, Kim. Thank you for joining me, Wanda. So everything that we do in life as an individual, it really affects our surrounding. And the thing is, a lot of times people feel that whatever they're doing that's incorrect, it's somebody else's fault. I'm here to tell you that it's not anybody else's fault. The where you are right now in life is directly predicated on the things that you've done in the past. The things that you've learned, the values, the wisdom, the knowledge, all those wonderful things wrapped up in one, is leaves you to exactly where you are right now. So don't ever, I repeat, don't ever blame anybody else for your shortcomings. Take responsibility for yourself, and you will see that you'll start to move and elevate to another level. If you didn't get a chance to look at my post today, this afternoon, it speaks to that. It speaks to the mind and where you are right now. And I want you to read it, and I want you to meditate on it. Don't just ever read something. I want you to read on it, meditate, let it just minister to your spirit, and just ask God, where is it that you would want me right now? I'm sorry, guys. This plant is driving me crazy. All right. It's somewhat gone. So ask the Lord, where would you see me right now, God? Where is it that you want me in this present moment? What do you have in store for me? And just don't say another word, and allow him to minister to you. I also put a post this week, and it said, don't get into that woe is me segment. All right, you guys can produce your own film. All right, don't do that. So get off of that, learn to accept where you are, and understand the reason why you are is for a particular reason, and it's nobody else's fault. All right, so I segued. I don't know, the spirit was speaking through me. I just allow him to work whenever necessary. So tonight, what I'm speaking to you guys on is, I'm gonna just share a little tidbit with you about alignment as it pertains to the vehicle, your vehicle that you own, if you own a vehicle, right? And I'm not going to go in too much in depth because you already understand some of these things, but I'm going to speak to some of it because I want you to understand that alignment affects many things in our lives, and a lot of times when we're not in check, we're not checking ourselves, we're not taking inventory, then we're going to miss out on exactly what God has in store for us. So I don't know if you know, if I'm going to define alignment again, it says correct positioning of something. So basically something have to line up from point A to point B, or point A to D, or A to C, or whatever the case is, in order for whatever is in the middle to be operable, and whatever is on the ends to be operable. So when you look at a vehicle, you have four tires, right? So alignment for the vehicle basically is not, it's not based on the tires of the car. It's based on the suspension. These tires are mounted to the suspension, right? And based on many things in our lives, that's what's going to determine how well this suspension will hold up. So if you take the tire example for a moment and just put it in the context of something else that's going on in your life right now, you'll understand why your life is not lining up exactly the way it's supposed to. These wheels are mounted to the suspension, and a few things happen that may take this car out of alignment, right? To interrupt the suspension of the vehicle. Some of the things include you hit a bump and a pothole in the road, and you didn't see it. You didn't see it coming, and you hit it, and you're like, oh my goodness. So that it jars the car, and it starts to gradually, just very small, take it out of alignment. You're driving again, and you're going to park, and next thing you know, you're back up, and you lick a curb. You hit the curb, and you say, oh man, just missed it by a second. It's too late. You jar the suspension again, right? Other things may be turning sharp corners, or just turning corners in general. If you understand the whole concept of a vehicle, car, and I'm not a mechanic by chance, just letting you know. When the vehicle turn on a turn, it's going to automatically balance on certain tires, where one is going to have less resistance than the other. It's pretty similar to what I have to deal with as it pertains to the body, right? The body, and learning anatomy, and learning physiology, and learning about the spinal cord and all the spinal nerves and all of those things. So it's very similar to me when I place it in that context. So if you're sitting on you hit the curb, and it jars it then, right? You're taking the corner, and one wheel has to take more of the pressure, the other does not. It's similar to the body when you're walking, and if you're not walking evenly, you're going to wear on one side of your body over the next. Or if you are, I gave you the example the other night of someone being obese. A lot of times they'll balance on one leg because you're trying to take the weight off. It's best to stand with both legs on the ground, because what you're now doing is you're interfering with the rotation of your hip and the way the hip is actually aligned. So a car is just a great example to give you, because what happens is when the car becomes out of alignment now due to all these suspension teasers that it gets, then all of a sudden what happens now, the car starts to pull to one side, or it pulls to the next, right? Maybe there was a time you can let go of the steering wheel and the car just starts to drive itself, and it's going in a straight line. So guess what? You have perfect alignment, great suspension, everything is in order. But then when all these things interfere with it, then all of a sudden you see that the vehicle now it's starting to pull to one side, and you're not even turning that way, right? Or it's pulling to the other side, you're not even turning that way. And that's how simple alignment, things become misaligned, and it's for that reason, those examples that I just gave you. So basically, when it's in alignment, the wheels are straight, and everything basically comes into an agreement. It's very similar to when you have a relationship with God. Everything lines up. They line up and they fall in place. You don't have to try. You don't have to force it. You don't have to wish, oh my gosh, I wish that was me that got this. You don't have to do any of that. Because when you are in alignment with the Holy Spirit and God, for example, everything else that you're deeming to happen and you're wishing for in your life is automatically going to line itself up for you. You don't have to try. Now remember, God says he helps those who helps themselves. He's not going to want you to just sit there and say, oh, okay, give me all you got. That's not how this works. It takes work, just like a relationship between a couple. It takes work. If you have one person not doing their part and the other person doing their part, guess what? That's deemed for disaster. Very simple. So it takes work in anything that we do in order to have things line up appropriately how we expect them to. If we don't do that, and we close our eyes and we ignore all the important facts and information and knowledge and values and all of those things that take into account for all of this, if we just ignore all of that, you guys have a longer journey to travel, and you're going to make things much difficult on yourself. So being in alignment basically means being in agreement. You're being in agreement, you're lining up with the rules, and what comes with lining up with the rules? You're being obedient, you're allowing God to take control of where that vehicle needs to go, right? And it really has, like I said, a lot to do with the suspension on the car. It's not so much the tires, but ultimately what's going to happen is the tires are going to wear on one side more, like I mentioned to you, and it may not wear as much on the other side. You ended up having to replace maybe one tire versus all four. It just depends, but everything kicks in. And those are some things that I want you to keep in mind. So the suspension is there, just like in our system, in our body, in our minds. that suspension that we have is there basically to allow us to absorb the shocks that are in the road. It absorbs the bump, it absorbs the curve in the road so that we can continue with smooth sailing and not ever have to worry about a thing. All right? So I want you to really keep that in mind. Although I spoke about a vehicle, take it, line it up with something in your life right now you're going through, and just see how well you can identify those missing points along the way. And when you identify those points, you really have to create an action plan on how you're going to fix that. It's not going to align on its own. Just like if your car goes out of alignment, you can't just sit and keep driving on it. You ultimately have to take it into a shop for repair. So take yourself into repair. Find an area in your life right now you feel that you need to figure out how to properly absorb those shocks and create a good suspension to prevent the wear and tear on your tires, and you'll see how well everything starts to get into agreement and how well you start to fall into alignment. All right? So let's see what Miss Wanda says and Miss Kim. They're all typing. Go girls. Go girls. Woo! Let's see. So Miss Wanda says, you sound distant. I do? I'm still distant? I turned it all the way up. Oh, man. Yeah, I turned it all the way up. How is that? Is that better? Tell me if that's better. So decisions determine direction. It's all on me with co-creators, with creators of all things. Okay. Wonderful. So guys, you get it. You have it. So if you've joined me on this live later afterwards and you want to hit the replay, that's fine. I'm just going to ask you to first watch the live before typing replay and then comment as well. I love interactions, and by all means, please share this with someone in your circle you feel can learn from the information that I shared this evening. And of course, you guys know I like hearts. Don't care for the thumbs up. Slide your finger on the thumbs up, slide over, and you'll see the heart button. I love hearts, right? Hearts take you such a long way. So thank you guys for joining me. I will see you again back here. See you again back here tomorrow. I can't speak this evening because the breeze is just so amazing. I'll see you guys back here again tomorrow. But until then, please be safe. Make wise decisions. And remember, things don't just happen arbitrarily because you're sitting there like I dream of Jeannie and blinking your eyes. It does not work that way. It takes time, it takes effort, and it takes lining things up in the proper order in order for you to accomplish the goals that you're trying to set out to do. All right, guys? So I love you. I'll see you guys back again here tomorrow. Until then, have a fantastic rest of your evening. Take care. Ciao.